morning, everybody. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. How are you, my friend?
I am good, Eric. How is your weekend shaping up here? Looks like it's going to be a glorious one weather-wise.
Yeah, I have some golf on the schedule for tomorrow. Mandy and I are going to go to a winery and sip a little wine, hopefully not get too buzzed. I have, I don't know, some burrata with nuts and raisins and olives and call it charcuterie board. And that's what we're going to do. How about you?
Well, having been traveling each of the last 2 weekends, I'm going to ground myself a little bit and enjoy the beautiful weather and just have a great time this weekend and get caught up on my rest and stuff. So old man stuff. That's what I'm going to do this weekend. Old man stuff.
Oh, you're going to yell at the clouds.
Yes, I'm going to look at for something, anything to yell at and grumble on. So
well done. I want to tell you about Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos and Blackhawks. They always have a great promotion going on right now. They are giving away a pair of Spider Cruisers or $15,000 in cash the weekend of July 18th. And that's just in time for the Sturgis Bike Rally. Get finalist entries every 45 minutes from 10 a.m. until midnight during their daily cash drawings. And if you do that, you can win or at least get one of those drawings with a locked up jackpot of at least $100 or more. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, a family-owned casino that treats you like family. Time now for the lead.
The lead is presented by Sasquatch Casino, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
So it was very nice of Sean Payton. Nice touch. I don't know if it was him or Kerry Penner, literally rolling out a red carpet for the media to walk into practice. I don't know if you missed it, but there was this big board that said Broncos and in the name of the sponsor. We could all take pictures in front of it. It was like a premiere on Hollywood.
It was a cool day. First of all, the media contingent, Eric, was, even by Broncos standards, was really large yesterday. There was probably an extra 25% from the normal throng that occupies that space. There were about 35 Bronco alumni, which was a really nice touch. That was really cool, and it was nice catching up with a couple of guys that I'd never really chatted with much. And so that was fun, and there was plenty to watch. They got after it. It was a very spirited 2+ hour workout, after which there was plenty to talk about with Bo Nix and Talanoa Hufanga. So not to mention Sean Payton, who was a little under the weather with a froggy voice, but it was a good day all in all.
Light some candles, Sean. You will be fine. Why do you think the media contingent for an OTA had higher attendance?
It's a great question, and I was trying to figure that out yesterday.
I can think of two reasons.
Well, there were a lot of radio types that we generally don't see very much during the regular season that were out there getting their first glimpse. So, and I think that there's good curiosity about the new players. I think Bo Nix, obviously, in year 2, I think that's going to be a big early theme, probably compared against the backdrop of sophomore slumps and things of that nature. I'm not sure what the motivation was for some people, but I know that I know what I was looking for.
Number one, and number one only. The reason why there were more media there, Bo Nix.
Yes.
Because now there is belief that this team can not only make the playoffs, but with the way the defense was built, some additions on offense, this team has the potential to make a run. That's the reason why.
Yeah.
The biggest reason why. Because now they look set at quarterback, barring injury. As far as the other reason goes, you could go to the park every single day and bring a half a loaf of bread with you and throw bread on the sidewalk, and pigeons will be there. Make no mistake about it. But with the way it is for the media and the Broncos now, specifically during the offseason, that person goes to the park once a month with those breadcrumbs, and every pigeon in the area code, along with surrounding states, will be trying to eat the bread.
We do get another exposure next week and the week after,
Right.
but it's few and far between in the off season. Now things change obviously in July, but no, you're right. From a standpoint of gathering information, talking to some new guys, and we had a good session with Hufanga yesterday, who was just absolutely great to chat with. A very similar, a very familiar theme is starting to kind of take hold with the Sean and George Payton types of players, and Hufanga really slips right into that mold directly. So it was a good day, as good a day as you can have in May, when guys are in shorts and T-shirts and nothing really meaningful in terms of figuring definitive things out comes out of a practice.
While you were having lots of conversations, did you see anything that actually happened on the field?
Yes.
And I'm kidding when I say that.
Yeah.
What stuck out to you after being able to watch one day, and now we can make all kinds of predictions, because clearly, according to some media, I'm guessing, they've really got this thing figured out after one practice. This guy's going to do this. This guy's going to do this. I'm sure of this.
Well, you know me. I don't say anything definitive in the month of May, and I don't say very much definitive in the month of July. But anyway, I will give you three things that were at the top of my list, in no particular order. The sharpness of Bo Nix. What I don't want to say jumped off the page. You expect a certain amount of it, but he was really sharp yesterday, and my understanding has been very sharp all 3 days. So that was one. I thought it was interesting that VJ in the 11-on-11s, and there were 3 or 4 different team sessions, was bringing pressure. And bringing pressure in blitzes and stuff. So I thought that was very interesting that we were seeing that kind of stuff this early on. And then I thought that RJ Harvey, his little jump pivot and jump cuts that he makes were pretty impressive. Dude has a very low center of gravity. He gets to that point quickly. He is explosive. And Eric, commensurate with not commensurate, but consistently with what we saw at the rookie minicamp, he is catching passes consistently out of the backfield. They are using him a lot in the receiving game. So those would be the 3 things that I think I took away with. There are others. Jahdae Barron is a guy that makes you stop and look. I mean, just one of those guys. Hufanga is a big physical presence at safety, very impressive. And there were other things as well. I thought Cortland Sutton had a really good day yesterday. So those are some of the things that I'd probably go with.
See, when I see the rookie catching passes out of the backfield, okay, that tells me Sean Payton desperately wants him as a 3-down back, because he's going to run it on 1st and 2nd, right?
Yeah, I would. Yes.
Now, do we need to take him off the field for a 3rd down? What we won't find out about him is how good is he at blocking?
Yeah.
Because that's going to play a major role as well. In the meantime, Bo Nix said this after yesterday's practice about getting to the line of scrimmage now. He said, I'm not thinking about what the other guys are doing. When you get up to the line, you want to only be thinking about the defense, only processing and reacting to the defense, not maybe the footwork or the motion or the timing of what I'm doing. That process, I feel like, is eliminated, and now I can focus on the defense. Watch out, NFL.
I agree.
Because if it has already clicked with him, being able to just go out and play, and now he is really starting the process, and we know he has a fast processor anyway, and now he is really starting the process of diagnosing defenses before the snap and we know he's athletic. This guy's ceiling, I'm not going to say has no limits, but it has come faster than I think it has for 10-year veterans. How's that?
He is a humble star in the rise,
Yeah.
but he admitted yesterday, and this is part of the thing that enamors you to a guy like Bo Nix, I haven't done a damn thing. We haven't done anything. Nothing. We have so much still to prove. But Eric, the confidence that he has with that humility is very real. And he is much, and obviously he's a much more confident player 3 games or 3 practices in to OTAs. And understandably so. He had a year in the system. Now he's much more familiar with it. He talked about it yesterday. I've got the same offensive coordinator. I'm not learning a new system. I've got a lot of the same guys that I worked with last year, all of those things. So, yes, I think I'm not – I got to be honest with you. I'm not worried about a quarterback, about a sophomore slump. I think he's ready to take – I'm not going to go quantum leap, but I think that he is ready to take a strong enough leap that this offense becomes even more available to him in a complete fashion.
So I agree with you. And, I broke it up into 3 categories, as I was putting together the show yesterday. Mm-hmm. Do you think he has a sophomore slump? Is he the same as he was last year? Or does he take a pretty big step? I think just him saying that, he's not a BS guy.
No.
He's a very aw shucks guy. He says it very matter-of-factly that I'm really not thinking about the offense anymore. I know the offense. Now I get to watch the defense, which is where you make critical plays at critical times. You got to be able to listen when it's 1st and 10. If you don't do a great job of reading the defense, fine, you got another down. 3rd and 4, that gives you the big advantage. If you know what the other defense is going to do, you can check out of a play. And for as much as I know Sean Payton wants to call the entire offense, I'm guessing he eventually, if not now, will trust Bo Nix to check out of plays in key situations because they are on the same wavelength.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Eric. And the thing that if you really want to know where we are right now, Sean Payton's not backing down on any of that from Bo Nix. He basically yesterday was saying, dude, basically just it rolls right off of his tongue now. There's no second thoughts about what he's doing in the offense. Everything now is just, it's instinctual for him. And he had no hesitation to talk about, you could just tell that the expectations are being realized and that Bo Nix is on schedule not to stay the same, but continue to improve in the offense. So no one's backing down from expectations. That's for sure. I would say that that's another thing that I took from yesterday as well. Nobody's backing down. There are pieces in the puzzle now that are there. We can argue about how good those pieces are because I don't think that we still know. But the first impression was a good one.
I'm going to use Bo Nix and his development to a golf analogy. There are a lot of things that separates a pro from an amateur. But one of them is amateurs tend to think about their swing when they stand over the ball. Or they walk up thinking about something that they need to do. Pros, it's muscle memory. That's all it is.
Yeah.
They're not thinking about what their hips are doing, their hands are doing, their head is doing, where their feet are. They just literally walk up and hit the ball. What they have is far more strategy. Okay, do I try and draw it a little bit? What club do I use to be creative with this? It's a very different mindset.
Totally. And it's a very different game that you play. You're so far ahead in the game mentally when you don't have to do the checks of, all right, get my club through the swing zone, 6 inches square behind the ball, 6 inches square in front of the ball, get my hips through. I mean, when you're doing check the boxes even good golfers that are low handicaps.
Right.
I mean, you're thinking about things that you shouldn't be thinking about. You should be thinking about shaping a shot, where you want it to land, how it's most advantageous. Am I below the hole? All of those things that pros just do naturally. That's a very good analogy.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate
You're
that,
welcome.
especially
Good.
going into the weekend. The new guy, safety, Talanoa Hufanga. Talanoa Hufanga.
Yeah, very
led the
good.
media
You did it
yesterday.
well. Yeah, great.
Impressive guy.
Yeah, is.
He's going to be a go-to interview for every single media member. Just a nice guy, from what I understand, a really good leader as well. With that, he was asked what separated Denver from other teams interested in him during free agency. He said this: you look at what Bo Nix is capable of and where he can go down the field, and it's exciting. No disrespect to Brock Purdy. It's impressive seeing how he works. Talking about Bo, he's the first in line. First guy who's going to run and going to beat a lot of guys in races. He's a guy who just wants to work. With Peyton Manning, he was a draw for guys like DeMarcus Ware, Wes Welker, TJ Ward. I don't know if Hufanga is overstating it, that he really wanted to come here because of Bo Nix. And it's not like he had a huge salary demands. It's not like he's making a ton of money. He's coming off an injury. But do you think there could come a point in time where players say, I want to go play with Bo Nix, not so much like Manning, maybe not so much like Mahomes, but do you think it'll play into it?
Yes, I do, and I think it already is. I mean, you've got guys, his name comes up pretty regularly now. And we chatted with Bo about it yesterday, about, how does that make you feel when you hear guys talking that way? And he said, well, it's really nice of them, but I don't think that's necessary. I mean, that's one of those things that just kind of organically happens. Now, look, and I know that you're not, obviously. We don't compare Bo Nix to Peyton Manning, obviously, but the Broncos and Hufanga did talk about this. Talked about ownership. He talked about Bo Nix. He talked about the defense, the existing defense, the defense that has a chance to be a top 5 defense in the National Football League. There are a lot of things right now that I think are attractive about the Denver Broncos, but make no question, a good young quarterback under team control, and a guy whose arch is moving upwards. Those are all really attractive things for guys looking to win and win now. And so, yeah, I think the answer is that Bo Nix is certainly a draw now for players. And I think, and he didn't indicate that he had been very active in that in the off season, but I think moving forward, it's probably logical to assume that he might be a guy like that.
There were a lot of sound bites coming out of yesterday's presser.
Mm-hmm.
But this one kind of stuck out to me for a very odd reason. I don't think any television station actually played this actual bite from Hufanga. But I loved what he said. And maybe this is just the old school guy in me. He was asked about the rich history of Broncos safeties.
Mm-hmm.
And he talked about Steve Atwater and Brian Dawkins and John Lynch. And let's not forget, even though he didn't mention him, let's not forget about Dennis Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Darian Stewart, TJ Ward, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Although Atwater, Dawkins, and Lynch are kind of in their own league. And saying Dennis Smith. I guess I just took a real rip on Darian Stewart and TJ Ward. Didn't mean to.
Well, that they're not in the same
they're not.
league. I mean, they're in a good league. They're just not in the Premier League.
I forgot Justin Simmons too.
Yeah.
With that, Hufanga added about, the rich lineage of safeties. He said there's a long line of history here. My goal is to represent them the right way. Maybe this is the old school at me. It kind of rubs me the wrong way when guys come to teams, not so much as draft picks because they're young, but free agents and they don't know the history. To me, when you know the history, when you understand this franchise, when you understand the history of the NFL, there's an extra layer of maturity that I see when guys know that stuff, where it's important to them. They know they'll probably be asked about it. But to some of them, they might be football nerds like us too.
Yeah. Well said. And in a larger scope, it speaks loudly to me about the types of players that they are continuing to bring in. And I think that has been very much at the top of the list for Messrs. Payton and Payton. The types of player that fit into the family, that bring the type of respect to the game and for their teammates and what is trying to be accomplished, the accountability and the things that these are things that are very real, in particular to Sean Payton, George Payton as well. And you keep bringing these guys in, that is culture flipping. That is changing a locker room. That is changing what a franchise is all about. Those are the faces of the franchise. Those 53 guys on Sunday, those, 65 guys, during the week. And it is a very particular type of player, not just in skill set, but in mentality, character, those types of things. And I don't want to sound overly simplified or silly about this, but I do think that it's a priority for this franchise.
Okay. I'm going to wind up overstating this, and I understand it. In order to win in the NFL, you need to have a quarterback, amongst many things. But one thing that really good teams have, they have guys like him. And this is the term I'll use. They have adults in the room, in a room full of young, rich kids. When I first started covering the team, I walked in the locker room. John Lynch was there. Champ Bailey was there. Al Wilson was there. Guys like that. Then you go to the Manning era. Where do you begin? Manning, DeMarcus Ware.
Yeah.
Guys who have a certain sense of professionalism, high, and ability, high, a sense of accountability, high, and intellectual curiosity about their own franchise, about the NFL. And there's a real maturity about that. And it looks right now that the Broncos have drafted a guy who they hope is going to be here for 10 to 15 years, who has that. And then Hufanga, right? You got it with him. And there's some other guys in the locker room.
Yeah.
But leaders are not made, in my opinion. Leaders are born. It's just who you are. And you need some of those guys in your locker room.
I absolutely agree. I think that is something that they strive for purposefully, and it's remarkable, the collection of guys. I was talking with Tyler Gorse, one of the PR guys for the Broncos yesterday, and he was pointing out, and we were agreeing with it, that this is a really good group of dudes. Now, you want a really good group of dudes that can win football games, but sometimes being a really good group of dudes in the way that they are contributes to being a winning football team.
Correct.
Because of the accountability, because of the consistency of character and these things. You still got to have a skill set, and we understand all of that. But for instance, Evan Engram, Bo Nix was talking about Evan Engram. From the day that he was signed, he has been in the building. From the day that he signed, he has been in the building, and he talked about his work ethic, how much he's gotten to know him now in the time because they're in the facility together throughout the entire offseason. Those are the types of things that are valuable in building a football team and building a contending football team, not just a football team that has a chance to win some games. We're talking now about potentially a contending team.
Coming up after the break, NFL.com had an interesting article giving the top 10 NFL teams that have the best rosters in the league. And truthfully, when I read it, my jaw hit the floor. That's next.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch in the DTC. Both locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook is a hangout bar or great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, the DTC, and coming soon to Parker. They are the sports bar. Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. Don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corned bake. Man, you gotta try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Spice up your next night out at Nola Jane and Lodo. Authentic Cajun cuisine like andouille sausage gumbo with dirty rice, crawfish etouffee, as well as 6 different po' boys like soft-shell crab and shrimp. Come in before or after a game at Ball Arena. Host a party or party on their rooftop deck overlooking Market Street during happy hour from 11 a.m. to 5. Plus, Nola Jane caters, delivers, and the kitchen is open late night. Make Nola Jane your new favorite spot to eat, drink, and party like it's Mardi Gras.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a pair of Spider Cruisers or over $15,000 in cash the weekend of July 18th, just in time for the Sturgis Bike Rally in South Dakota. That's right, your choice, cruisers or $15,000 in cash. Get finalist entries every 45 minutes from 10 a.m. to midnight during their daily cash drawing with a locked-up jackpot of $100 or more. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, loose slots, great promotions, great food, and a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Welcome back. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. Time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Nola Jane in the heart of Lodo. No one does Cajun cuisine better than Nola Jane. Go see why their award-winning menu is the best in town.
NFL.com's Eric Edholm listed the top 10 most complete rosters in the NFL. The Broncos were ranked at number 10. In the AFC, they were ranked number 4, only behind Baltimore, Kansas City, and Buffalo. This is what Eric Edholm wrote. Coming into the draft, I saw the Broncos as potential shoo-ins for this list, as long as they added the right skill position pieces. As it turns out, this call was closer than I thought it would be. They could have gotten better value out of some of their picks, and the rookie crop didn't provide the boost I was anticipating. In the end, though, Denver had just enough to crack the top tier, squeezing past the Commanders and the Rams, thanks to an elite defense, an emerging quarterback, and strength of the offensive line. Broncos, top 5 defense, and if you were to argue, and you could argue, it's the league's very best, and I wouldn't push back on that at all. The defense stacks up as well as any unit in the league. This is why my jaw dropped when I read it. You and I have been covering this team for a very long time. And still, I don't mean this literally, so I hope nobody takes this personally when I say it. I still have PTSD in the post-Manning era. Mm-hmm. I still look at this team at times, different players, different names on the back, get it, but I still think back to when the Broncos couldn't score. And they're losing close games, and they blow fourth quarter leads. And there's constantly a carousel with coaches and offensive coordinators. I'm sorry. there's a part of me that still looks at the Denver Broncos that way when I watch them on the field. Last year, they made the playoffs. And it's still hard for me to grasp that this is a playoff team after so much losing. But with all of that said, that's why I was like, how in the world did the Broncos get a top 10 roster, losing top draft picks with Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, and then a huge cap hit? How did all of this happen? And I understand Sean Payton's in his third year. So I guess it's taken 2+ years, which I understand. But it's still hard to believe in theory that we are here.
Yeah, it's a great point. Remember, they're still sloughing $30 million of that deal with Russell Wilson off this year. They're still in a deficit position with that deal, yet they have continuity. For the first time in those 10 years that we've talked about, Eric, there is continuity, and the continuity comes with Sean Payton at the top of the pyramid. So it is interesting. I'm talking with. There are going to be people that pick the Broncos to win the West this year. I'm not going to be one of those people, but there will be people that pick the Broncos to win the West.
For two reasons.
Think about that.
There are two reasons. One, everybody wants to claim that when they made the sexy pick, when they made the unpopular pick, they were right. It's kind of like picking a 15 seed to be the number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. Got that one. Yep, those South Dakota State Jackrabbits, they wound up beating Duke, and I predicted it. Right?
Yeah. That makes them so much smarter than the rest of us. But
who's going to be the first to knock the Chiefs off their throne? It will eventually happen. We don't know when it is going to happen, but when you do look at this roster and the emergence of Bo Nix, we certainly know that they can compete with the Chiefs. We know they can compete. We know they can beat the Chiefs. We know that as well. But they don't play the Chiefs 17 games, and in some ways, thank God they don't.
Eric, tell me when you're going to. You're always good at this. You can push back with me on any time during this next statement or questions.
Sure.
Do we agree that the Broncos have, if not the best, one of the best, certainly, let's say top 3 offensive lines in all of football?
Yes, they do in terms of talent, but more importantly, they have it because of health for the last 2 years.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so let's take it for what it is. Do we believe, as many others seem to, that this is a top 5 defense, potentially a top 5 defense in the National Football League? I think I feel that way.
The biggest question is right in the middle of that defense with the injuries, coming off of injuries for Greenlaw and Singleton. However, the Broncos defense was still pretty good with Justin Stranad and Cody Barton, which tells me the system is good. These guys are coached well.
And by the way, Drew Sanders was a guy that was out there yesterday, and he is going to be an inside guy exclusively. And then I'll throw this on. I'm not going to say top 10, but is Bo Nix a top 15 quarterback in this league with the potential to go higher? And I think the answer to that is probably yes. Now, those are 3 things that even you might not push back on me about, right? So if you've got those 3 things, and now obviously health has a lot to do with it, and that's a theme on this show, and rightfully so. But those are 3 things that just about any team in the league wouldn't mind starting with. Maybe not the Eagles, maybe not the Chiefs, maybe not the Bills. I get it. We know who the players are, but those are 3 pretty good places to start for just about any team.
Yeah, and now it's about it coming together.
Yeah,
it's like you want to cook a tremendous dinner, and you have 3 great ingredients. Let's just hope, and I'm not saying it is, but let's just say those three ingredients are not a filet mignon, a beef tenderloin. All right. And high quality peanut butter. Those two really don't go together.
Well done. By the way, just for you, Jeremy Crawshaw, the kid out of Florida.
Love his potential.
My God.
Yep. That's why I take a puncher in the sixth round. That's why I take a puncher in the sixth round.
Yep. Wow, what a leg he has. Now, I don't know about the subtlety of his leg, and the backing it up inside the 10 and that kind of stuff. But you talk about a guy that is going to flip fields almost automatic. The ball booms off of his foot. It's impressive. There's a reason he's the only punter right now in camp.
Yeah. I mean,
we'll see.
I can't give you a long list of great punters that I've ever covered in the NFL.
You mean Todd Sauerbrunn doesn't just kind of jump to the front of the line?
No, actually,
he was good.
That's who I was referring to.
Yeah, he's a good one.
Would boom it. And I will never forget, you were not here for this. I think Sauerbrunn, if I'm not mistaken, tested positive for PEDs.
Oh, there you go.
He was pretty jacked. And I remember Mike Shanahan making a comment about it. He's like, well, why does the punter need to be all jacked up, and why is he taking PEDs? Why the punter? I don't understand.
That's a pretty good question from Coach. I like that. That's fair.
Yeah. So yes, I like what they did. And you and I talked about that weeks ago where I said, Harvey and Barrow. And I'm going to be watching those guys, but I'm curious to see this Crenshaw kid for sure.
Yeah.
With that, when you look at how this roster has been constructed, George Paton has taken a lot of heat, and rightfully so. Let's not forget, he did bring in Nathaniel Hackett. He did sign contracts like Randy Gregory, which were just bad on so many levels. His drafts, I think, have been pretty good overall. I think that he gets too much of a knock for his drafts. You're not going to hit on, 5 guys when you have 8 picks. That's just not going to happen. But he takes a lot of heat. And a lot of Broncos country wanted this guy fired. Is it time to maybe look at him and say, I was wrong, and maybe he's better, and he's doing a better job than I thought he was, considering if they do have a top 10 roster, he's a major part of it? Or will those George detractors just quickly push the praise right to Sean?
Well, look, I get it. And Nathaniel Hackett, that's a tough one to overcome. And there were other things as well.
They traded for Russell Wilson. They traded for Russell. Now, all of us agreed it was a good trade at the time.
Yeah.
But maybe, just maybe, the Broncos should have done a little bit more homework on him.
Yeah. I won't argue that, even though I would agree with you that universally at the time it was a deal that was lauded.
Correct.
But be that as it may, here's my deal on George Paton. For me, that ship, if there's criticism out there lingering, then you're just grumpy about, and I'm talking about people out there that still harbor some grumpiness about it. How about the team of Paton and Paton? How are they doing? What does the last 3 years or the last 2 years look like? To me, that's where we need to be in this thing. I think that George is a good check for Sean, and I think that Sean is certainly a good check for George. And it's the way that they work in unison to build this football team. To me, that is the big part of the equation. Sean Payton is always going to be the larger presence. That's just who he is. He's that kind of persona. But I think that they are a really good team. And frankly, I think that they've proven that pretty nicely. And when it comes to this year's draft class that I know probably maybe didn't wow people as much as it could have, I think that this draft class is going to be a very pleasant surprise to those in Broncos country. I really do. There are pieces in this draft class.
I'm not going to ever use the word can't miss specifically when you're not picking in the top 10.
Sure.
Barrow, the running back, right?
Harvey.
Harvey.
Right? Yep.
So Barron, Harvey, and Crenshaw, I'll say right now, will all be hits.
Yes. I would bet on that as well. I would
They're
say
gonna
all
get at
three
least
of those
three guys
guys are
out.
going to be good. Yep.
They're going to get 3 guys out of this draft who are going to be major contributors to this team this year.
And we'll have to watch on Bryant and Jones. Those guys now, Bryant, I've not seen Bryant drop a ball yet. Not seen him even, if his hands get to it, he catches it. He is intriguing at this point. That's as far as I will go there. Savion Jones is a large, active guy that can really push. He almost had a push sack a la Chris Jones, where he basically just bum rushed the guy in front of him and nearly blew up a play yesterday. So I'm still not sure on those 2 guys. We'll have to see. But by the time that July turns into August and we're heading towards September, I'm guessing we'll have a pretty good sense for their abilities as well.
Barring injury, again, Barron, Harvey, and Crenshaw. I think all of them will be major contributors and big parts of the Broncos moving forward. With that, if the other 4 guys are unquestioned busts in this league, I mean, these guys cannot play football at all. This draft will be considered wildly successful.
Yeah.
Why? You hit on 3 of your 7. That's hard to do.
And you hit on 3 of the 7 that are making a difference immediately, right? So
Right.
You've got a first rounder that you expect to be a starter right away. Then you've got a late second rounder who I think will clearly be a starter right away. But in the traditional definition of a late second rounder, that's a guy that you probably wait until the second, maybe the third year to be a starter. And then you get a special teams guy that, if he does his job well, can be here for many, many years. That is a good draft by anyone's definition.
Or another way to put it about Crenshaw, I hope he's not on the field a lot, because that means the Broncos are turning it over, or they are scoring. I get it. But expect Crenshaw to be on the field at least 4 times a game. As a rookie and a guy who has quite the leg, has the potential to be a difference maker, because he will be on the field, in theory, with the starters. That's going to do it for us. Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. Make it the best possible weekend you can.